Hi, I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks, and I'm continuing to talk today to Jimmy Fasig about some of the calls we get and the information we end up sharing with people when they contact us to wonder if they have a case. Sometimes they can't understand why they wouldn't, and we have to explain that to them. And then other times people think, oh, I probably shouldn't even call a lawyer. This doesn't look like I have anything going. Jimmy, have you ever had that come up in your practice?
Well, it happens every day. Every day I get called where somebody says, do I have a case, do I not have a case? And sometimes the answer is very surprising. I get a lot of calls from people that say, I've been in an accident, I got the ticket, I was the one that got the ticket, I've been injured in this accident, do I have a case here? And surprisingly, sometimes the answer is absolutely you have a case, because Florida follows what we call the Comparative Negligence standard. Dana, you want to explain a little bit about what that means?
It's basically saying you're responsible for your share of the damages to yourself, okay? Or you would be responsible for your share of the damages you caused someone else. So if I'm in an accident, say I get ticketed for it, well, that's not determinative in the civil matter. That just has to do with that traffic.
The ticket means nothing for us.
It doesn't mean anything. Because we would investigate it ourselves and make a determination as to what happened. But maybe you are 10% at fault, but you're injured, and the other person's 90% at fault. Why should they get a free pass? Why should you be paying 100% of freight on the injuries that you only were responsible for causing 10% of? That seems like an overburden for the person who's injured. So in that case, we would look to the other person to pay their share, their 90% of the injuries and the harm that was caused to you. But a lot of people will hear something like, oh, I got a ticket, or I'm at fault, or maybe they couldn't tell who was at fault. Well, that's why you do call an attorney, and that's why you do have it investigated, because you may have rights to recovery that you're sitting on, and it's just not right for you to bear that burden 100%.
Well, another thing that I see sometimes is where my client is 90% at fault and the other person is only 10% at fault. Well, even in that situation, you may still have a case because the person that is 10% at fault is responsible for 10% of your damages. And so your damages include your medical bills, lost wages, any property damage, and usually pain, suffering, inconvenience, mental anguish, and lost capacity for the enjoyment of life. So if you've got a huge amount of damages, let's say your damages are worth $1 million and the other person is responsible for 10%, then you have a $100,000 case. So I see that happen all the time.
Yeah, that's why it's just worth it to call and talk to the attorney. I've had cases, and I know you have, where someone else has turned them down. Maybe again, I do a lot of medical malpractice and things like that, and so I'll look at a case and, for some reason I like it. I want to look at it. I want to dig a little deeper. And then I realize, well, we've never even got these records. Let me get these records. And I get them and I decide, well, there's the proof of the malpractice, and I'll take the case and made a very good recovery. But that's worth calling lawyers on. If you feel very strongly and someone doesn't explain it to your satisfaction, they just give you kind of a blow-off answer. Keep calling until somebody takes your call and gives you an answer that makes sense to you, and that's what we try to do here.
Here's my advice to people. If you get injured, if you get a serious injury, call a lawyer, because you may have a case when you don't even know it. Now, the other side is sometimes you think you have a case and you actually don't. So you call a good lawyer. Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what I say. You ought to be able to explain it. And you got to do your share, which is be willing to accept things you don't want to hear.
That's true.
Just because they don't sound right. And so many times my answer will be, take it up with your legislature. Vote for the people who remember you, and take care of people who don't have a whole bunch of money and big resources behind them. Remind them that you matter as well. So that's what we try to do for you. So call us anytime, 222-3232. Fasig Brooks. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.